This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on the South Today, a handful of supporters held protest action this morning, supporting about 250 Port Otago workers as they prepare for industrial action. The Dunedin City Council has officially become a living wage employer. And the Dunedin Symphony Orchestra gives their first Queenstown performance in their 53-year history. Kia ora, good evening. I'm Simon Anderson. More than 250 workers at Port Otago will refuse to work overtime from this coming Saturday. A strike notice outlining the overtime ban has been jointly issued by two maritime unions, unless management addresses concerns regarding safety and the demand for a 4% wage rise.
Union power! Union power!
Protesting against having to work overtime. Workers at Port Otago are objecting to being asked to work long hours when fatigue could become a hazard. And they're getting support from other union members who don't actually work at the port, such as train driver Dave Kearns.
The issue that these members from Port have got is around being asked to work more hours, and the issue is around fatigue. They know when it's safe to work late at night and what fatigue does to their body, as we do in rail. We drive trains at night on our own right through the night. So without going into great detail about this particular mediation, if the workers say it's unsafe hours what they're being asked to do, that's good enough for me. They know better than anybody.
There's two unions involved, the Rail and Maritime Transport Union and the larger Maritime Union of New Zealand, together representing about 250 of the 300 plus staff at Port Otago. However, it's not just about safety, as they're also wanting a 4% pay rise, having rejected a 2% offer from the port. The unions are planning to ban overtime from this coming Saturday, unless of course this week's negotiations are successful.
I think the parties on the union side certainly hope so, and hope that the company will listen to reason and give them safe working hours where they can remain alert.
Port Otago says safety is a key focus for them, and the port plans to continue working towards a satisfactory outcome for all parties. Following this morning's protest, negotiations stalled again, and the groups are set to move back to mediation on Thursday. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Hundreds of mourners came together during a tangi yesterday to remember former Ngāi Tahu Chief Executive Tahu Potiki. The highly regarded leader died in Auckland last week, aged 52, spurring a flood of tributes. His father-in-law, Ōtākau Kaumātua Edward Allison, said Potiki was receiving treatment in Auckland when he died. At the conclusion of the service, Potiki's coffin was closed and carried out of the Tamatea Wharenui at Ōtākau Marae. It was taken down the hill to the Urupā for burial as members of the Dunedin Kapa haka group He Wahu Katoia performed a haka and waiata. Potiki is survived by his wife Megan and 3 young children. The Dunedin City Council has officially become a living wage employer. Mayor Dave Cull made the announcement in the city at noon today.
A living wage for all council workers. Dunedin Mayor Dave Cull says all council staff and contractors will be paid a minimum hourly wage, which will allow them to cover the necessities of life and participate as active citizens in the community.
Underpaying people or paying them only enough to get by and not enough to participate fully is definitely impinging on their on social wellbeing.
It brings the DCC into line with more than 150 other employers nationally. The minimum wage to be paid to council staff is $21.15 an hour, and Mayor Cull says it came into effect last year for many staff members.
We've had this in place since July of last year, so this is the official part, but that living wage has been paid through that time.
The DCC is the second council in the country to become an accredited living wage employer after the Wellington City Council did so last year. And Mayor Cull says the living wage fits with council strategy.
One of the legs of that is, the well-being of our community. Now, if there are people in your community, particularly the ones that you're employing, who are not on the living wage and as a result can't participate in the community to the extent that they need to.
The Living Wage Movement Aotearoa New Zealand Accreditation Coordinator Felicia Shearer says the impact of the Dunedin City Council's decision to pay the wage is significant.
It is huge. Dunedin City Council leads the way in terms of business practice. In the south, the living wage has been slow to gain traction, so we believe that the council becoming a living wage employer will encourage other businesses to step up and pay the living wage.
Living wage employers must meet strict criteria set by the New Zealand Family Centre Social Policy Unit to gain accreditation. And Shearer says the Dunedin City Council is meeting those guidelines.
So the living wage is $21.15, and that is the rate that will enable a worker and their family to not only afford the basic essentials, but also to participate actively in society.
Mayor Cull says it doesn't yet apply to council-owned companies like Dunedin Venues Limited, but he says the DCC will get there with them. The nationwide campaign for a living wage began in 2012. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Warm sunshine and a confusing course didn't stop runners competing in yesterday's Dunedin Marathon. Over 1,000 competitors took part in the half marathon, which started and finished at Forsyth Bar Stadium. Another 120 kicked off the full marathon from Tairoa Head, heading into the city. Pack leaders in the half marathon said they took a wrong turn on 3 occasions, as there were a lack of volunteer marshals. Other events on the day included a recreational walk and a 10-kilometre run. Many winners of the various categories were champs from previous years. On Saturday night, the Dunedin Symphony Orchestra gave their first Queenstown performance in their 53-year history. They played before a full house at the Wakatipu High School Auditorium with about 330 tickets sold.
Rehearsing at the Wakatipu High School Auditorium, Saturday's public concert was set to be the Dunedin Symphony Orchestra's first in front of a Queenstown audience. The orchestra deliberately chose a selection of music throughout the ages, including Bach, Mozart, Schubert, as well as 20th century New Zealand composer John Ritchie.
People engage with different types of music in different ways, and we also like to represent the music that has been written for orchestras through the ages. So it's important to represent that whole sort of expansive music.
The guest conductor was London-based Simon Over, who guided the 35 players through the various musical pieces.
We're just so lucky that he is able to come and work with us. He manages to bring the very best out of the orchestra, and people who come to the concert, I think, will realise that they're feeling engaged with the music, and that's because he's bringing the best out of the musicians.
Harris says the orchestra does about 6 concerts a year, as well as accompanying choir and ballet performances, and rehearsals with the conductor crammed into just 1 week before each event.
What the musicians do before that, though, is they get the music and they practice by themselves. So really, when they're coming together, they're not learning the notes, they're learning how to play the notes together with each other. And that's when the excitement really starts.
Organisers say the sold-out event highlights Queenstown's need for a performing arts theatre, which can hold a much larger audience and provide better acoustics. In Queenstown, the South Today.
Still to come on the South Today. Police investigate a Hyde Street stabbing, and we have another mayoral interview. See you after the break.
At Alex Campbell Menswear, we bring you the best value. We have bought a massive selection of moleskins, and we're passing on the savings to you. Buy 1 pair, save $25. Buy 2, save $60, and we've got a great deal on our knitwear. Look at it all, 25% off all our knitwear. And to go with the knitwear, what about a nice warm shirt? These are 25% off too. And while we're doing the 25% off, what about on the jackets? 25% off them as well.
Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
So check us out for massive savings this winter.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
You've seen us in the street, now find us online. Check out shopon.org.nz. We have all sorts of treasures, from retro and vintage clothing to antiques, homewares and accessories. New items added every week. We're open 24/7.
Garrador Dunedin, delivering quality, stylish garage doors in Dunedin for over 17 years. New doors, replacement doors and maintenance are all part of Garrador's quality service. Garrador Dunedin offers a full range of modern quality doors to suit any home. Come visit the team.
Step into Shop on Carrot and discover a shop full of treasures. We have a fantastic range of vintage and retro clothes, upmarket clothing labels, collectible items, beautiful jewellery, quality linen and the best range of vintage haberdashery.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole Map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Step into Ross Cafe, located at Ross Home in North East Valley. We have a great range of hot and cold food, friendly service and a warm atmosphere that you are sure to enjoy. We look forward to serving you soon at Ross Cafe.
If you're suffering from sciatica, lower back pain, hips and pelvis and knees, this technique will work wonders for you. The energy flow is transmitting through the muscles. Come and see Sunny Chin.
Step into Op Shop on St Andrew and discover a place with plenty of bargains for yourself, your friends and the whole family. We have new items arriving every day. Visit us for a fabulous range of economy and upmarket clothing, accessories, books, shoes and more. Shop with us and support your community.
Maya Nor, welcome back. Detectives are investigating after a reveller was stabbed during a mass brawl at a party in the Dunedin Student Quarter. Senior Sergeant Craig Dennison of Dunedin Police says the brawl erupted during a party at Hyde Street on Saturday. Several victims were attacked, one of whom suffered a puncture wound from a blade, shank or bottle. The Criminal Investigation Branch, or CIB, is investigating the case. The status of the victim is not immediately available, and police are awaiting medical records. With Dunedin's Mayor Dave Cull stepping down after serving the city for 3 terms, 14 hopefuls vie to be elected for the role. In tonight's bulletin, OAR FM host Ian Telfer interviews candidate Richard Seeger as to why he wants to be mayor and where the chains of office.
A very warm welcome to Richard Seeger, who is a small businessman who's done a lot of geography. And hello, Richard, and thanks for joining in.
Okay, all right, Brendan. Thank you.
Richard, have you stood for things before, or is this all new territory for you?
No, this is new territory for myself, yeah.
Wow. So what caught your interest? Why?
I thought it was a good opportunity to push some climate change adaptation, to push public transport into Dunedin, because I don't think Dunedin's very well serviced with public transport, and to just talk about climate change issues, basically.
So you're using it as a bit of a platform to raise issues that you think need to be discussed?
No, I'd be very happy to be on council or be the mayor in the future, but yes, that's also one of my I want to be able to push those things.
Interesting. You haven't been on council before, so
No.
it's got to be a bit of a long shot, I guess. Is it going straight to mayor?
Oh, absolutely. It's a long shot, yes.
But you want to put aside weeks of your life to be out in the public gaze?
Well, I think the problem is that the world is not adapting to climate change. I mean, back in 1991 or 1990, when the first conference was held, we were putting out about 22 gigatons of CO2 per year on the world stage, and now we're putting out probably over 40, maybe even close to 50 gigatons a year. We haven't done anything in that time frame. And so I thought maybe it's time to push some other ideas about how to do this.
And you said, though, that you had some small business background. So what sort of businesses were you in?
We're just in gifts. Unfortunately, it went down a few years ago. Well,
gift shop you had?
Yeah, we had a gift shop in Melbourne. Yeah.
Right. But it didn't survive?
Been there for 20 years, but we ran into multiple problems in 2013 through to 2015, maybe even a little bit earlier than that. And you sort of needed to juggle a bit to keep it going, and I didn't manage to keep doing that. So.
Right. And it was at that point that you came back here, was it? And then you picked up the
Well, I was
study?
spending about 6 months here and 6 months in Melbourne, so I haven't had to do that for the last few years. Concentrated on tidying up those affairs and trying to move on from that.
Right. And the studies then, that was kind of an interest that grew, was it? Or
I've always been interested in that sort of thing, reading the Reader's Digest stories on pollution back in the 1970s and so on. So yeah, I've definitely always been interested in that, and I was getting into debates online about climate change, and I just wanted to learn a little bit more about it. So I headed off to the geography department and said I want to do some postgrad geography, and happily they let me do it. Although running a small business and doing postgrad geography is quite difficult. So, it wasn't easy.
Do you think this is the climate change election? Is
It
that the biggest issue?
It definitely should be the climate change election. We really do have a problem here. The only way to stop really bad climate change from happening now is stop using oil, gas and coal. We need to do that almost immediately, and we even may need to get into negative emissions if we don't stop very, very, very soon. So,
and you say that why? Because of the impact on Dunedin, or are you thinking globally?
Globally, but the impact on Dunedin is going to be quite strong as well. I mean, both South Dunedin and the Taieri Plain are pretty low to the ground as far as sea level goes.
So you're worried about sea level rise? Sea
level rise, also climate change can impact on the type of crops that can be grown and rainfall and all that sort of thing. You're going to get stronger storms. I mean, sea level rise is about 4 millimetres a year, probably off the Otago coast at the moment, but the wave heights will be increasing more than that off the Oregon coast, for example. There's a guy with Gerio, I think his name was saying that the wave heights were increasing by about 15 millimetres a year. Yeah. So we may be more concerned about wave heights in the future rather than just sea level rise.
And we'll bring you more interviews with various candidates over the next 5 weeks. You can also watch the full half-hour interview on odt.co.nz. After the break on the South Today, we check out the South Island Secondary School Rugby final that was played at the weekend, and we have a look at the weather for the start of the week.
Hi, Lindsay here from Alex Campbell Menswear. We're having a massive menswear liquidation. Don't panic, it's not our liquidation, it's Munn's Menswear. They suddenly closed 6 stores throughout the country. Munn's have left their suppliers dangling and desperate to move large orders. We've come to the party. It's our biggest purchase yet. You can save up to 70%. Yes, save up to 70%. We've got strictly limited stocks at the best deals.
Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
It's a big one. South Dunedin store. Don't miss this.
Garrador Dunedin, delivering quality, stylish garage doors in Dunedin for over 17 years. New doors, replacement doors and maintenance are all part of Garrador's quality service. Garrador Dunedin offers a full range of modern quality doors to suit any home. Come visit the team.
If you're suffering from sciatica, lower back pain, hips and pelvis and knees, this technique will work wonders for you. The energy flow is transmitting through the muscles. Come and see Sunny Chill.
Step into Ross Cafe, located at Ross Home in North East Valley. We have a great range of hot and cold food, friendly service and a warm atmosphere that you are sure to enjoy. We look forward to serving you soon at Ross Cafe.
Step into Op Shop on St Andrew and discover a place with plenty of bargains for yourself, your friends and the whole family. For a fabulous range of economy and upmarket clothing, accessories, books, shoes and more. Shop with us and support your community.
You've seen us in the street, now find us online. Check out shopon.org.nz. We have all sorts of treasures, from retro and vintage clothing to antiques, homewares and accessories. New items added every week. We're open 24/7.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Thanks for staying with us. Saturday saw the South Island Secondary School rugby final being played at Dunedin's Littlebourne Park. Otago Boys High School vied with visiting Nelson College in a close run match.
Saturday's rugby game saw Nelson College edge 2 points ahead of Otago Boys High School, with the final score being 28-26. Otago Daily Times rugby personality Paul Dwyer spoke to the Nelson College captain about the match.
All credits to Otago boys. They never dropped their heads and they kept coming back at us and making it really, really tough on us. So huge credits to Otago boys, but extremely proud of my boys and the way they stood up to them.
So the interesting thing, mate, was it was 28-26. They were attacking the line. They had 2 or 3 opportunities, but your defence really stiffened up and you turned over a bit of ball. And instead of them getting crucial penalties, you got the crucial penalties at the end.
Yeah, and that's once again all credits to the boys. You know, really getting stuck in all the way till that last second and till that last whistle blew. So defence wins championships.
Correct.
And that's exactly what I tried again today. So just immensely proud.
Otago boys coach Regan Turoa told Dwyer his side did everything they could, but they were not able to find a way through Nelson's defence in the final 10 minutes of the match.
We tried our best. You know, it was. You've got to give credit to Nelson. Of course, their defence was outstanding. Yes, it was. Around the rucks. You know, we tried to go for the penalty. We tried to break through, but they just had that edge in that area for the end of the game.
Nelson College now go on to play in the national top 4 finals in Palmerston North later this week. In Dunedin, the South today.
And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South today. A handful of supporters held protest action this morning, supporting about 250 Port Otago workers as they prepare for industrial action. The Dunedin City Council has officially become a living wage employer, now paying employees a minimum of $21.15 an hour. And on Saturday night, the Dunedin Symphony Orchestra gave their first Queenstown performance in their 53-year history. And now a look at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT. We welcome Phil Somerville. Hi Phil.
Hi Simon. The saga of an anti-fluoride billboard out at the airport. Some people might have, at Dunedin Airport, some people might have noticed it. Went up and it's been taken down again.
Okay.
Proper procedures and so on weren't followed. So read about some details about that tomorrow. Hyde Street, there were serious problems at the weekend. It seems that when some of these involve non-students and trouble there.
Right.
Ocho, our beloved chocolate factory, more details about the losses they were making, their growing pains, and the chairman explaining how he sees it and what's being done and believes they can make a profit. So, lots of us have an interest in that, so that's worth looking at.
Yes, okay.
Rescue and the Remarkables with some dramatic pictures, so look for that. And the sandbags at Kettle Park to stop the leaching from the former tip. There, about 100 are being placed in there.
Great.
And for Tuesdays, keep an eye out for the travel pages. Plenty of reading there as well.
Will do. Thank you, Phil. And now time for a look at the weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by Mole Map.
Beginning with today's southern view of colourful flowers on the second day of spring. Looking at the situation, a ridge of high pressure brings fine weather tomorrow, but increasing cloud on Wednesday will bring some rain to Otago late in the day. Starting off at the northwest of the South Island, Greymouth and Westport can expect light cloud and 16 degrees. Across to the northeast, where Nelson and Blenheim are due for a mostly blue sky day. It's 16 for you as well. Moving down to Canterbury, Kaikoura, there's a chance of a cloud or two and 13. Christchurch and Ashburton, you're both in for a fine day and 14 degrees. Looking at what's in store for the southern towns, expect light northeasterlies and fine weather across this region. The Catlins heads for 14, Balclutha, Lumsden and Gore are all aiming towards 15 degrees. Travelling westward to the Central Lakes, you should plan for light winds, but it's a fine day for all of you. Wanaka and Alexandra, you can expect 16 degrees. Queenstown heads for 15. In Te Anau, you have a top temperature of 14. Looking at the northern towns, along the coast, Timaru and Oamaru expect light northeasterlies and clear skies. 15 degrees for Timaru and 14 for Oamaru. Further inland, Twizel and Omarama are set for light winds, with some high cloud, 15 for Twizel and 14 for Omarama. In Dunedin, areas of coastal low cloud tonight, frosty inland and an overnight low of 2. Fine and sunny tomorrow with light winds at first, but moderate northeasterlies developing during the afternoon, a high of 14 and a low of 7. Cloud increasing on Wednesday and some rain developing later in the afternoon. Fresh, breezy, cool northeasterlies, slow cloud decreasing, slowly decreasing, a high of 11 and a low of 8. And finally moving to Invercargill. Fine and frosty tonight with an overnight low of 0. Mostly fine and sunny tomorrow, mild with light northerly winds, a high of 14 and a low of 3. Fine on Wednesday with sunny periods at first, but high cloud increasing and thickening during the day, and light northerly winds again, a high of 15 and a low of 5 degrees. And that's the news this Monday. For the latest news from the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz and follow Channel 39 on Facebook and YouTube. Have a great evening and week. Ka kite anō.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.